Started?
Yes. Hello,
Okay.
welcome to our first call, Distractor Implants, Living Beyond the Distractions with Chandana Bawa.
Yay! Thank you for being on, guys. This is fun. This is real fun to be able. Hey, I see my friend from Calcutta. Hi. Wow, I just met you the other day. This is so wonderful to see you. Okay. So, well, huh. Yes, Rekha says it's so seductively. Well, she is a bundle of seduction. Rekha, a bundle of
Thank
seduction.
you.
Yeah. So this is one of my favorite books in Access, and I did a book club about 3 years back or 2 years back, I think. And what that book actually created in my life was so much of ease. And actually, for the first time, I started to acknowledge to myself everywhere that I would step into the distractor implants. Because unless you're not willing to acknowledge that, we really can't change that. And for all of you who don't have the book, I actually downloaded this when once Gary had put this out as a free download PDF. So I was smart. I downloaded it as a PDF and I got it printed out as a book for myself. So you guys can buy it from Amazon, or if you don't already have it, you can also get it from the Access shop. Okay. So this book has been written by Gary Douglas and Dr. Dane here. And as the book cover signifies, it covers a lot of those, um, a lot of those, I don't want to call them distractions here. I'm going to use the term emotions also. And some of them are really strong emotions. Some of them are really strong reactions. Some of them are real strong conclusions. Some of them are really strong agendas. And some of them are very, very, very strong situations that we use to motivate ourselves. But in reality, what we are doing is not motivating ourselves. For example, relationship and business. It's not really motivating ourselves. We are actually distracting ourselves from life. So this book actually covers a lot of those. It covers the anger, rage, fury, hate, blame, shame, regret, guilt, addictive, compulsive, obsessive, perverted points of view, love, sex, jealousy, peace, life, death, living, reality, fear, doubt, business, relationship. So anywhere that we actually step into these judgments or agendas or motivations or significances around our emotions or around situations or around our choices, we actually choose to distract ourselves from living. We actually choose to distract ourselves from creating. So this book is really beautiful, and well, welcome to our first read. So forward, when you find yourself in a situation that you don't seem to be able to change, you may be stuck in a distractor implant. I'm sure none of you have ever found yourselves there. You were just able to change everything, right? No distractor implants kicking in there. A distractor implant is something that is energetically entrenched or established in your universe. It is designed to be triggered by the events of your life and to create distractions that keep you from being all that you can truly be and having the life you would truly like to have. They are the reason we believe we have no choice in anything. And the first time when I actually read this book, which is like 4 years back or 3 years back, I actually underlined that with lots of stars. I don't know if you can see it, like with a pencil. Can you see my star? My little star?
Yes, yes.
Right? Yeah, that's my star, which says that they are the reason we believe that we have no choice in anything. Yes, Nino, it's really a dense topic because the reason for the density, the density is not the heaviness. It's not just the lies. It's the It's the hard work that we put in to make the lie a truth for us. That's the density that you are so aware of. So it's not really like, which part of this is a lie and which part of this is a truth, right? Will you guys, okay, have fun flirting. Have fun. Rekha and Sanjeev, you are being my distractor implants for now. All right.
Pot pock karo.
Pot pock, pot pock. Okay. So, needless to say, you would be a lot better off without them. And what is that, right? I mean, it's like when we have reasons to believe that we have no choice in anything, what we are doing is basically choosing to become a victim, right? It's like whenever you say you're choiceless, you're really making a choice to be a victim. And what do you use to maintain that space of being a victim? What are you choosing to do and be to maintain the victimhood that you've decided is you? Is very often 1, 2, 3 or more or all of the distractor implants. So needless to say, you would be a lot better off without them. In this book, we provide information and seriously effective tools, very unlike what Access does. It's the only book where you'll get seriously effective tools, okay? Like, come on, guys, be serious. Stop fucking potting each other. That will enable you to recognize the distractor implants and become free of them. So chapter 1, anger, rage, fury, and hate. Gary, does anybody have the book here? Anybody who's reading the book? Oh, great. Ritu.
I have.
Can you? Awesome. Ritu, can you please be the class participant while I become Gary for tonight? Oh my God. Talk about sex change.
Sure.
Thank you. So, Gary. Okay, the first chapter is about anger, rage, fury, and hate. Gary, hello everyone. Today we're going to talk about the distractor implants, anger, rage, fury, and hate. I have invited all of you to send me your questions, and several people have written in asking, how come I do anger? Anger, potency, and intensity. 99% of the people in the world do anger as a way of getting control. We have misidentified and misapplied anger as a source of force in the world. We think of it as something that creates a potency. You know, this is something that was really big for me the first time I read the book, because how many of us have actually misidentified and misapplied anger as a source of force in the world? Like, how many of us use anger to get what we want? How many of us know people who use anger, who display the force of anger, the force of destruction, so they can have what they want? And that doesn't really come from a space of, will this create greater? That doesn't come from a space of, what is this going to create? It comes from a space of, I want it and I'm going to be angry and I'm going to show my potency and I'm going to show you how powerful I am and I'm going to put the force on you till you don't say yes to me. Everything that is, will you all destroy and uncreate it all? Right, wrong, good, bad, pot, pock, all 9 shots, beyonds. For many people, potency means power or strength, but I'm using it in a slightly different sense. A chemical that can alter other chemicals is considered potent. It can be a catalyst to change other chemicals. When you are potent, you can alter everything in your life. You know, of late, Gary and Dane they've always been saying this, but I have just got it of late, that can you be the catalyst of change? And for me, I would look at it as a very scientific term, and I would look at it as, literally adding a chemical to change something, right? But somewhere for me, that was also about doing something in a situation to change the situation. Till I suddenly got that space of, wow, What if just by being me is the catalyst I'm being to change? What if you being you is, what if you being you has you choosing to be the catalyst of change? What if you being you has you choosing to create the catalytic conversion of problems to possibilities? That's just you being you, where you don't really have to do stuff. You just have to be you, right? And that's what he talks about, that a chemical can alter other chemicals, and that is considered potent. It can be a catalyst to change other chemicals. When you are potent, you can alter everything in your life. You can change whatever is occurring so it works better. As infinite beings, we all have this potency, but often it seems inaccessible to us because it lies beneath the distractor implants, which are designed to distract us and keeps us from being the infinite beings we truly be. I just want to show you what a good student I am. Just don't miss my underlining my book, okay? See? I underlined this and I would read everything I've underlined the next morning and I would be like, wow.
Chandana, so much of entrainment from your daughters.
Absolutely, Anita. Teaching Isha all those years of her school life, geography, history, underline karo, Isha, highlight karo. I started did the same thing in my books.
That day you were talking about equations also, na? So I know.
Yes. Right? Yeah. So true. So, I've been a good mommy teaching her daughters. I have not really not taught Noor much. She's been more of a, I'll do it myself, mom. Let me be. Okay. With Isha, it was so different because I was such a mean mom. I just used to force my point of view down her throat because that was the right way of doing it. That was the right way of, of education. So I really taught her.
Yeah, we all.
Yeah, right, Anita. I mean,
I also correct.
Yes. And somewhere I realized that. So I don't really judge myself for that now. I just look at it that, well, I was being the mother
Yeah.
in the space
You
of
didn't know.
what's required, from this reality to get the best out of my child. Now with Noor, with the tools of access, I'm very different. Yet somewhere, it's a gift to know both the worlds. It's a gift to know that what you can be and what you can choose to be. Right?
Veggie.
Oh, who's that? Rekha. What was that distraction? Yes, darling.
It's a gift to know both the worlds,
Yes.
this reality and the one we are creating.
Yes, right. It really is a gift because you'll only be able to acknowledge what you've changed when you've lived what you've lived as. You're right, Sanjeev. Complete distractor implant she is. इसको भी book में डाल देना चाहिए. The first distractor implant, chapter number 1, Rekha Katwani. Okay. All right. We tend to misidentify anger as potency because anger gets people to react, but it does not allow them to act.
So, can you talk about what reaction is, Gary?
Gary, reaction is where X occurs and you do Y, whether you want to or not. Sometimes something occurs and you react to it rather than being able to act to it.
So, when we do anger, are we looking for someone else's reaction?
Yes, you are looking for where you can be in control. That is why you do anger in the first place. You see it as a way of getting control.
Is that true that if we are doing anger for potency, when you use potency with us, you are doing it to get a reaction?
Well, I do force, but I don't do anger. Most of you do anger rather than force. But unfortunately for almost all of you, you suppress anger. Nino, that was your question about suppressed anger. You suppress it and you suppress it until you react. And then you think that is potency. But that's not necessarily being potent at all. That is creating a situation where you are in reaction and so is everybody else.
So, can you explain how you do force?
I will get very loud if I want to create a force in your life. I will get very intense with the energy. You have noticed me doing intensity with you. Is it anger?
No.
No, but it is intensity. The real power in life is the capacity to use intensity when you need to get a point of view across or when you want to get people to do something different from what they are currently doing.
So, I'm Dane also.
Can anybody be Dane? Okay, I'll be Dane.
Yeah.
Here is one of the ways you can tell the difference between intensity and what people call anger. 3 seconds after you do intensity, you are back to the gentleness of you, or you can be if you choose it. There are no repercussions in your body. There is no elevated heart rate. There is no sense of being stuck in whatever happened. That's not so with anger. Gary, that's a good point, Dane, because when you do anger from the place of explosion, you're pushing yourself out of true existence into a place of trying to control others. And when you do that, you use a great deal of force against your own body. That's a problem with all distractor implants. They go as a force against your body, which keeps you in a constant state of adrenaline pump at the wrong moments. It means you are in a state of reaction and never in a state of action. So, I want to just talk a little bit about this adrenaline pump.
Yeah.
So many of us are actually creating our lives from that space of being pumped. When we have that adrenaline pump, we're creating. And then when that pump is gone, it's like, oh, my life sucks. Oh man, I'm depressed. Or, oh my God, life's miserable. Like that's the adrenaline pump that you're looking for to create your life. And when you're waiting for something like an adrenaline pump to really create, you're really looking for a motivation that's outside of you. So is that really going to have you creating a life, creating your reality from choice, or is that going to have you constantly distracting you to not create? So you're going to think that you're creating, but are you truly choosing to create?
I I get anger and potency confused. My father would get angry about everything, even small insignificant things. I get angry too, and sometimes I've had a hard time letting go of the anger. I thought I had gotten through this, but recently I got very angry at a so-called friend. I told her to get out of my life, and when she came near me, I got furious and I thought I would hit her.
When you do anger from the implanted point of view of the distractor implants, you cannot let the anger go away because you are in a reactive state. Every time you think about the person you are in reaction to, what they did or what they said that caused you to go off. But what they said or did isn't what caused you to go off. You were triggered by the fact that it was a distractor implant. That is the thing you grew up with. You grew up with somebody who triggered you at every opportunity. And now, given this right circumstance, you must of necessity go to anger, rage, fury, and hate. This is exactly where you went with your friend. Dane, we tend to try to understand these things logically, and there is a lot to be gotten from that. But here's something you can do, and that doesn't involve logic or figuring it out. When you are in middle of whatever is triggering you, say to yourself, all the distractor implants creating that, I now destroy and uncreate it all. Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all 9 shots, boys and beyonds. You will notice your energy shifting and changing. These distractor implants keep sticking you. What do I mean by sticking? You wanted to let go of the anger, but you were stuck by the distractor implant rather than having the freedom to say, hey, get out of my life. if that was the appropriate thing to say, and then moving on. When you can't move on, you are in the middle of a distractor implant. So most of you, quite a few of you, and a few of you, I am not sure how many of you have done the foundation. And the foundation has a section on distractor implants. And years back, many years back, Gary and Dane did this telecall on distractor implants, which is in the shop also for you to buy, which is absolutely a beautiful call. So if you want to buy their call, please go ahead and buy it. It's absolutely beautiful. And from that telecall, this book got written. And this is a book that that every time you read, your life expands. So Gary, because you're thinking about this, because you're obsessing about it, you don't have the freedom to choose or be or do something different. That is what a distractor implant is designed to do. It gives you no choice. Dane, you said that when you were a child, your father was always doing anger over trivial, insignificant things. That energy had an intensity to it. You probably misidentified and misapplied that any intensity like that is this anger. This is this distractor implant point of view, is this stuck place. So when you delivered that energy to your friend, even if it was just an intensity, it was because of the distractor implants you grew up with over the course of your life. You were misidentifying and misapplying that you were doing the same thing you saw happening in your family. Gary, and you would tend to do the same thing because that is what you learned at the hand of the father. So, you know, something that we all, I can speak about myself, maybe you guys grew up differently. I also grew up with a lot of anger. I mean, anger, I saw a lot of anger around me. I had a lot of people always getting angry around me. And life was still good. In other words, I never questioned the anger. It was a way of life. It was just the way life was meant to be. Not having your way, throw a tantrum, get angry, you'll get it. Someone didn't do it the way you wanted them to do it, show that you're angry. That's the position you're being, the father, the mother, the brother, or the sister, or the friend. So all of this was really normal. Till actually I started to see what anger was really doing. And I saw that really closely, and I saw a lot of anger. After the age of about 25, 26, I've seen a lot of anger. And that's when I actually started to look at anger for what it is. I didn't know it was a distractor implant, but I knew it was destroying my life. I knew it was destroying my reality. I knew it was destroying my relationships. And anger is something, guys, that so often you receive and you allow it to come into your space, and you allow to be that constantly with those who you love. And you truly love them, but you're constantly angry with them because you've decided that what they're doing is not the way you would want them to do. Everything that is, will you all destroy and uncreate it all?
Yes, please.
Right, wrong, good, bad, pot, pock, all 9 shots, boys and beyonds.
So I'm aware that frustration is actually just a lack of information. Yet I get frustrated at events and what I think of as human dumbness. Or I go into being right and seeing the other person as wrong. I go so easily into frustration, then anger, and I get pissed off about how fast I react. I sometimes surprise myself with the level of energy I have, especially when I have to deal with the same person over and over, like an apartment manager. How do I get over this anger and ask questions?
That's a place where you say to yourself, everything that allows this distractor implant to exist in my universe, I pod and pocket. That will give you the place of action. Underneath the distractor implants are all the things that give you power, potency, and the action that puts you not in charge necessarily, but not at the effect of anybody. It is a place where you have choice. That is the place you have got to get to, the place where you recognize your capacity for choice. Here is a process that came out of my head as a result of reading your questions. What physical actualization of the unchangeable and unalterable disease of potency and power are you not acknowledging as a source for the creation of what is hidden beneath all distractor implants? Everything that is times a godzillion will you all destroy and uncreate it all? Right, wrong, good, bad, pot, pock, online shots, boys and beyonds. What physical actualization of the unchangeable and unalterable disease of potency and power are you not acknowledging as a source for the creation of what is hidden beneath all distractor implants? Everything that is times a godzillion will you all destroy and uncreate it all? Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, online shots, boys and beyonds. What physical actualization of the unchangeable and unalterable disease of potency and power are you not acknowledging as a source for the creation of what is hidden beneath all distractor implants? Everything that is times a godzillion will you all destroy and uncreate it all? Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, online shots, boys and beyonds. Action and reaction.
I have implants in reaction to my husband. Every time he criticizes me, I go to anger. I get angry and I feel insecure. And it seems like every time I get angry, I get heavy metal poisoning.
First of all, if your husband is telling you that you are a pathetic pile of shit, is that a truth or a lie?
It's a lie. But
when somebody tells you something that is not true about you, you will tend to get angry. But instead of reacting with anger, ask some questions. What did he mean by that? What part of that is loving and caring? What part of that is to just be mean to me? You know, these three questions, guys, I have really used them in my relationships, and they have changed so much for me. Anytime that there's an anger from somebody, I use it with everybody. I use it with anybody and everybody. These three questions are beautiful. What did he mean by that? What part of that is loving and caring? What part of that is to just be mean to me? This is a space of not going to anger as a reaction. Asking a question is going to the space of potency and power. The ultimate potency and power is question, choice, contribution, and possibility. Dane, if you do what Gary is suggesting, you will be in action, not reaction. This will be true even if what your husband says to you is designed to get you to react. You won't be reacting. You will be acting. When you have the dynamic you are describing with somebody, they do things to push your buttons. They're trying to get you to react, and you do react. And the situation goes on the same for years. Gary, and it proves that they are right. Dane, when you change that, when you come out of the reaction and go into action, the other person doesn't get to use that to prove they are right anymore. They may do even more to get you to react, but when you stop reacting, you are no longer at the effect of that situation.
sometimes it's very hard in the moment since I have had a lot of heavy metal reactions going on. My reaction is caused by the toxicity.
The toxicity is a result of the distractor implants. Guys, there's some information in this book that you will really not get in any other access books. The information in this, especially about the toxicity that we talk about clearing and melting out of our reality, how much of that is anger, right? The toxicity is a result of the distractor implants because the distractor implants themselves are designed to hurt your body and to make it reactive. The body becomes reactive to the heavy metal programming every time you go into the programming of the distractor implant. That's the reason whenever you go into anger, you need to run. All the anger, all the distractor implants creating this. Destroy and uncreate it all. Right and wrong, good and bad, POD and POC, all 9 shots, boys and beyonds. Think it to yourself. You don't have to say it out loud. Notice how after you say it 2 or 3 times, you suddenly don't have the reaction and the heavy metals no longer have the same effect on you. Is there anybody else who has the book here? If one can become Dane? No? Okay, cool. All right.
Next.
Yeah. Is anger just anger, or is it always related to an issue? I have anger toward money, family, disease, and other things. When we destroy and uncreate the anger distractor implant, are we destroying and uncreating all the implants, or do we have to make a clearing for every issue related to the anger?
You just clear the distractor implants every time they come up. Pretty soon, those will not be issues. The only reason they are issues is that someone issued you this as your problem. Dane, be aware of what Gary just said. You have to do the clearing every time anger comes up. A lot of people think I pocked and podded anger once, so it's probably all gone. No, you have to do the clearing every time the anger comes up because there are layers and triggers and all kinds of things that activate it in your world. Every time you pock and pod a distractor implant, you're getting one piece of what activates it. You need to stay on it, which is why we are doing these calls the way we are, with time between them, so you can pock and pod all the anger, rage, fury, and hate distractor implants as they come up in your life. You are bright enough, brilliant enough, and insane enough to be on this call, and you will perceive a lot of these things in the world, and they will be a lot easier to deal with because you're getting these tools. This is how it works. You open yourself to a different awareness of something. You get that awareness in a way you never wanted to know before, or in a way that is a lot more dynamic than what you ever thought it could be. But you also get the tools to handle it.
Sometimes when I watch movies about racism, or when I perceive something that is really unjust, it makes me very sad and angry.
Hate. Yes, that's because it takes hate to have prejudice. For prejudice to exist, you have to do hate. Most people don't get that prejudice is always hate. It is never anything else. People create hate in order to create separation. They do it in order to justify the meanness, the anger, the fury, and the rage they are going to do, or might do, or could do, if they needed to do it. Prejudice is just part of the system of anger, rage, fury, and hate, which are some of the primary elements that people on this planet function from. If there was no hate, would there be the possibility of prejudice and wars and all that kind of stuff? No, because people hate when other people have more money than they do. They hate when somebody has something they don't have. They hate when somebody gets something they think they should have sole access to. These things are ways people create a difficulty that they don't seem willing to overcome. And the reason they can't overcome it is because it is a distractor implant, not reality. So did you all get that? The reason that they cannot overcome it is because it's a distractor implant and not reality. Dane, when you perceive something that is unjust, unnecessary, or inappropriate, and you have sadness or the anger that comes up after the sadness, ask, is this actually anger? Or is this the potency that is required to change this in my life or in the world? What other possibilities are available now if I'm willing to be the energy of potency? So when you have children around you, or you have a family member who's constantly angry and constantly, stepping into that space of anger tantrums, and, you can sense that anything little happening triggers the anger. Ask them to ask this question. Of course, the first one is wonderful. That is this actually anger, or is this a potency that is required to change this in my life or in the world? And the second question is really beautiful. What other possibilities are available now if I'm willing to be the energy of potency?
Wow. Is frustration a part of anger? Is it a lesser form of anger?
The only reason you get frustrated is because you lack information. When you get frustrated, you have to ask, what information am I missing here that would take care of this? I talked with a woman who said she was frustrated. When I told her that frustration happens when you're missing information, she suddenly got the information that she was missing. She saw that the people she had been frustrated with wanted to see her as insane because that made them real. That was really valuable information for her. What freedom do you have when you realize that people have a fixed point of view about you?
I seem to have a lot of frustration.
You need to ask this question. What additional information do I need here that will make this frustration go away?
Last week, somebody lied to me and I knew he was lying. I didn't ask if there was a lie, but a surge of potency of energy moved through me. I grabbed something made of stainless steel and started bending it like it was a silly putty.
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 Putty. Putty. Putty. Putty. Putty.
Yeah. So I was going to say something else.
It's like but and put.
Yeah.
Putty. Putty.
Putty. Putty. So what was going on?
When you recognize that somebody is trying to make you react and you don't, you step into the power and the potency that is available to you. And you have the ability to do all kinds of things you didn't know you could do. Now, to show you, see what a good student I am? I even wrote wow on that. So every time I would actually find myself going into reaction, I would stop and ask a question about the distractor implants, and then I would ask to tap into my potency. Yes, darling. Okay, so Gary, when you recognize that somebody is trying to make you react and you don't, you step into the power and the potency that is available to you, and you have the ability to do all kinds of things you didn't know you could.
Wow.
Dane, like the grandmother who lifts the car off the grandchild trapped underneath it. Gary, with one hand. Dane, if you went beyond all the distractors and the distractions from what is true for you, would you have more abilities like that? Probably so. You would probably have more of the capacity you have that has been hidden and sublimated by the distractor implants. 1 second. Right now in these 10 seconds, my little dog is distracting me. And for everybody who wants to see him, here he is.
Aww.
He's sitting in my goatee. You see
What
that?
is his name?
He's Oreo.
Rio.
He's
Oreo.
Oreo. Hi, Swati.
I love it.
All right. He's such a complete distractor and one that I enjoy. I'll keep this distractor implant. Okay.
So,
Dane, if you went beyond all the distractors and distractions from what is true for you, would you have more abilities like that? Probably so. You would probably have more of the capacity you have that has been hidden and sublimated by the distractor implants. Gary, if you get that most of the people in the world function from distractor implants and live in reaction to everything, and if you stop living in reaction, you have the ability to do things that have never been done before. This is our target, to get you to the place where you can do what has never been done before.
and there was no force used in bending the steel?
That is the power and potency we have, that these implants are designed to keep us from having. They are specifically designed to keep us from having that kind of potency and power.
My emotions have always felt out of control, especially anger and rage. They have dominated my life. I have so much of impatience and a fiery temper that wreaks havoc on my nervous system. How much of this is natural to my personality and how much is this implanted? How do I handle it all?
It is all implanted. All of this can be overcome because the level of power and potency that is hidden beneath the distractor implants is what we need to get to and be aware of.
I have a question regarding impatience. Is that a subset of anger? Frequently for me, impatience leads to anger. It is not same as frustration. It occurs when I'm trying to explain something or when I'm waiting for somebody to do something.
The first problem is that you are a humanoid. Now, that's a real problem, guys. When we are humanoids, it's a problem. The second problem is that you're probably slightly autistic, which means you ask a question and the other person has already answered it before they ask, and you're ready to move on. They are too slow for you. You start to get angry because you've already gotten your answer. You've already talked back to them in your head, and you can't believe they're still carrying on a conversation that's already complete.
Yeah, that's true.
You have to ask, am I picking up the whole conversation in my head? Yes, no, yes, okay, never mind. Then you won't get that sense of impatience. You will see that you are 3 steps ahead of everybody in the entire world. It's not a rightness and it's not a wrongness. It's just a difference in you. You might want to ask, am I 13 steps ahead of this person? If you get a yes, you can say, okay, I will slow myself down. I will stop going at the speed of space. And I will go at the speed of a snail or a slug. Or a slug. And I will be fine.
Is that a distractor implant?
No, that is an awareness you need to have about how you function. You see that the way you function is different from the way other people function. You have to have the awareness of this. When you get to a place, when you feel impatient, there is a 99% chance with all of you that the reason you're impatient is because you have completed the conversation and the other person is still trying to talk about it. That's like, I'm a little too aware for my britches.
So I just need to slow down and allow everyone to catch up?
Well, they won't catch up. You just allow them to function at their speed. Just acknowledge it. That will make your life a lot easier.
So could you talk about passive aggressive behavior? Is that a distractor implant?
Passive aggressive behavior is just anger, rage, fury, and hate muted. This is something that's a really big one because in our society, in our relationships, in this country, I think it's everywhere, but I see a lot of that more in India. The passive behavior, the passive aggressive behavior, where we want to show to others that how powerful we are with the anger that we display by not talking to somebody or by just our body language. Just a second, guys. He wants to go down. Yeah. Okay. So that is all the passive aggressive behavior. And that is all anger, rage, fury, and hate muted. That is all it really is. Some people like to do those things in a very suppressed way. It's anger, rage, fury, and hate, plus fear. It's not anything different than that. Hi, Mom.
So how do distractor implants support holding people's identities in place? And how can we change this?
Most people think that reaction equals action. For instance, my ex-wife is a person who gets angry all the time. She considers her anger to be her ultimate power. So anger is the one thing she will not let go of. For her, holding on to anger is more important than having a life. She will kill her body with that anger. I recently watched her walking away from me. She looked like she was 10 years older than I am, when she's actually 5 years younger. You are killing your body with the anger you think is so imperative to hold on to. People create themselves, their personalities, and their lives from distractor implants, which is why we are having this conversation. It is why we are doing this call. This stuff is important. It always amazes me when people don't pay attention to it.
Gary, I feel sad about your ex-wife and how she walked away in that much anger. I had a strong reaction and it made me sad. What's up with that?
Are you sad for her? Sad for me? Or sad that someone would kill themselves that way?
It feels sucky.
It's sad is one thing. It's sucky is a judgment. What if it just is what it is? There is so much more available to us, and people do not choose what is greater. Instead, they choose what is lesser, as if that is the right thing to choose. You've got to be willing to see what is and get that this is a choice some people make in their lives. My ex-wife loves her reactive capacities. That is how she identifies as herself. I am a reaction. It's her way of proving she is who she is. It wouldn't be my way. So how many of us have identified ourselves as reaction? I am reaction. Fucking pot that. Everywhere we've identified ourselves as reaction, can we destroy and uncreate that? Right, wrong, good,
Yes,
bad, hot,
please.
work, all night shots, toys and beyonds.
So I have unexplained anger against my parents from childhood, and I have rebelled against anything they have said or done. It is difficult for me to have regular conversation with either one of them for 5 minutes without getting angry or exploding. I have no idea what is this or how to get over it, as I cannot find the reason. I get so angry. After I blow up, I start feeling bad for having behaved like that, and it turns into guilt. Can there be anger without a reason?
Chances are you're experiencing this because you're not looking at past lives. How many past lives have you had with your parents where they were loving to you? Actually, that turns out to be a lie and you're holding on to it anyway. Did you come back to get even with them? How many lifetimes have you had with these people? Did you come back for revenge? Dane, this is a point of view, but sometimes you come back to get revenge for something that you didn't get revenge for in another lifetime. Gary, how many past lifetimes do you have with them?
5 is the number I get.
Everything you decided from those lifetimes that is keeping you reactive in this lifetime. Will you please destroy and uncreate it all? Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine shots, boys and beyonds.
If you're willing to overcome anger and you are poking and podding it consciously and regularly, would having your bars run and focusing on the implant band minimize it?
You're not supposed to overcome anger. You're supposed to see what anger does. It covers up your power and your potency. So you're not trying to overcome it. You want to pock and pod everything that allows it to hide, you from you. This is
Yes.
something that's,
Oh, yeah.
sorry, sweetheart. Thank
Mhm.
you. This is something that's a really big one, right? So many of us have been
Yeah.
like, get my bars run. I want to get over anger. Oh my God, you have anger problem? Come and run your bars. But that's not what you really want to do, right? You don't want to get them over anger. You really want to see that anger covers up your power and your potency, and you don't want to overcome it. You want to pock and pod everything that allows it to hide you from you.
Wow.
Because when you're really being you, would you ever choose to be angry? Would you ever choose reaction? You would always choose to be action. You would always choose to be you in every space without the reaction.
Yes, but it's an implant, right?
Yes, it's an implant. You have to pock and pod everything that allows that to exist. And pretty soon you won't get angry.
Let's say a client is going through a bitter divorce or a situation where they are blaming someone. Would focusing on implant band while running bars help?
It would be helpful, but if you ask how many distractor implants do you have that are keeping that in place, it might be quicker. Dane, with the bars, you're addressing the energy, the thing that is stopping it directly. Whereas the implant band handles a lot of long-time considerations. Gary, you're going to get more results from how many distractor implants do you have holding that in place? The person will respond, what do you mean? You say it's anger, rage, fury, hate, blame, shame, regret, and guilt. Those are distractor implants. How many distractor implants do you have holding all of this in place so that you are in a constant state of reaction instead of having the ability to move on and act? You can't push people to do this. People often try to push others into something different. It doesn't work. An access facilitator called me yesterday. She had a client who had a portal, and entities were traveling through him all the time. Every time she mentioned portal, he went psycho on her. I said, don't talk about it. Why mention portals? Just clear the entities and move on. Then I asked, how much is he paying you for this? She said, nothing. I said, that's why you're not getting results. You're not charging him anything. So he wants to hold on to this so he can see you for free as long as possible. You are kind of cute. That might be why he's coming to you. He wants to get laid. You've got to look at the truth of things, not what you want them to be.
Please give me some tools. I find myself getting angry when my kids start complaining and getting upset.
Clear all the distractor implants, creating the complaints and the upset in that person. If you have someone, I'm going to repeat this for all of you who don't have the book. Clear all the distractor implants, creating the complaints and the upset in that person. If you have someone who's angry with you and they're talking with you, say to yourself, all the distractor implants creating that, pock and pot that. That person will all of a sudden say, oh, never mind, and walk away. You can do this when you're talking to someone on the phone as well.
I'm aware that my 24-year-old son is holding anger. I hear him in his own room playing video game with others online. He often swears and calls people's name. He has always been one to hold on to things. Is there anything I can do to give him more ease?
Yes, divorce him. You have to destroy and uncreate everything the relationship was yesterday, every day. What will happen with that is that he will start to change. Right now, you're trying to help him. And if you're doing help, you're doing superiority. He hasn't asked for help. You think he needs help, but he doesn't. He's happy with the way he is.
Were we born with distractor implants or we picked them up?
We were born with them and we were entrained to certain ones by our family. So is that fun? No.
Any help with rage and anger from severe childhood trauma that has been repressed and forgotten for decades, and now the memory is resurfacing?
The memories are resurfacing now because you're starting to recognize the distractor implants and what was holding you back. This is a good sign. Just keep going. Keep running clearings for all of the distractor implants, and eventually the awareness and the memories will return. When they do, you will have more freedom. What you are interested in is more awareness and more freedom. This is the target. We talk about questions. The purpose of a question is to give you awareness, not to give you answers. You guys keep looking for answers instead of awarenesses. So please start looking for awareness you get from asking a question, not from the answers you think you're looking for. Anger, rage, fury, hate.
So, what is the difference between anger, rage, fury, and hate?
Anger is a thing that other people use to control you. It's what you use and what you suppress until you explode. This destroys your body. Rage is what you get to when you add hate to your anger. Then you get into a rage about it. Fury is when you don't hold back. You let go and you want to pummel someone to death. Hate is a level of loathing of yourself or another that keeps you from having any clarity.
Can you talk about trifold sequencing systems? Are they same as distractor implants?
Trifold sequencing systems are a Mobius strip, which means you play an event that happened a long time ago over and over in your head as though it just happened yesterday or today. Trifold sequencing systems are basically the source of PTSD. Everyone knows PTSD, right? Post-traumatic stress disorder. They are not the same as distractor implants, but they are a part of distractor implants in that they are always on a Mobius strip, so you will never get rid of them. To clear them, ask for all the Mobius strips holding the anger, rage, fury, and hate in place. Pock and pod every Mobius strip and everything you've resisted and reacted to and aligned and agreed with to allow them to exist. Dane, what physical actualization of the unchangeable and unalterable disease of potency and power are you not acknowledging as a source for the creation of what is hidden beneath all distractor implants? Everything that is times a godzillion will you all destroy and uncreate it all. Right, wrong, good, bad, pot, pock, online shots, boys and beyonds. What physical actualization of the unchangeable and unalterable disease of potency and power are you not acknowledging as a source for the creation of what is hidden beneath all distractor implants? Everything that is times a godzillion will you all destroy and uncreate it all. Right, wrong, good, bad, pot, pock, online shots, boys and beyonds. Gary, the good news is that having those conversations has made this process more intense. What physical actualization of the unchangeable and unalterable disease of potency and power are you not acknowledging as a source for the creation of what is hidden beneath all distractor implants? Everything that is times a godzillion will you all destroy and uncreate it all. Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, online shots, boys and beyonds. Dane, by the way, if some of you have noticed that you're feeling distracted, could it be that's a subject we are discussing? Just thought I would point that out to you. Gary, laughing. That was good, Dane. What physical actualization of the unchangeable and unalterable disease of potency and power are you not acknowledging as a source for the creation of what is hidden beneath all distractor implants? Everything that is times a godzillion will you all destroy and uncreate it all? Right, wrong, good, bad, pot, pock, online shots, boys and beyonds. What physical actualization of the unchangeable and unalterable disease of potency and power are you not acknowledging as a source for the creation of what is hidden beneath all distractor implants? Everything that is times a godzillion will you all destroy and uncreate it all? Right, wrong, good, bad, pot, pock, online shots, boys and beyonds.
At the end of the clearings, you said, for the creation of what is hidden beneath all distractor implants. But earlier you said that underneath the distractor implant is the power and potency I desire to be. Can you help me with this?
Yes, basically you are what is underneath the distractor implants, but you have made power and potency a disease rather than something you could have ease with. Gary, it's like you create a disease about potency and power rather than having ease with total power and potency. You use distractor implants to react rather than being the action that could change.
What is the difference between pocking and podding, distractor implants versus Mobius strips?
A Mobius strip is an implant too. And when you clear the implants, you start to unlock what allows a Mobius strip to exist. and continually play it in your head as if it's real. You take a bigger sweep when you pocket pot the distractor implants. Imagine trying to clean up a big mess with a tiny whisk broom or a toothbrush. Now imagine taking out a broom and cleaning up the whole mess. With the implants, you take out the big broom. If you do the particles and the Mobius strip, you're doing the toothbrush version. What physical actualization of the unchangeable and unalterable disease of potency and power are you not acknowledging as a source for the creation of what is hidden beneath all distractor implants? Everything that is times a godzillion, will you all destroy and uncreate it all? Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, online shots, boys and beyonds. Now we are actually going to spend about half an hour, if you have, on questions, because we have an hour and a half hour long call with the distractor implants. We have 12 calls of them, and how we are planning to do it, we read for an hour, and then for the last half an hour, we talk about questions and about possibilities. And if we don't have more questions and possibilities, we read again till 8 o'clock. Okay. So do we have any questions around what we have read up until now? Okay, cool. So should I go ahead then? Should I keep reading? All right. Lies. The next section is lies.
I have a question about anger. As we have been talking, I realize that whenever I've had anger come up, I have either subverted it or pushed it down, so there would be no acting out of anger in my life. I would sit there and steam or I would leave. When you said that we get angry if there is a lie involved, I looked back and said, oh my God, that is what was happening 99% of the time. I wasn't angry at what was going on. I was just steaming inside and wanted to leave.
When you recognize that a lie will create anger and you ask, is there a lie here? You then have the ability to act instead of having the necessity to go away or stuff it. Going away and stuffing it are not actions. Those are reactions.
So, in that environment, there is just a lie present.
Well, there may be more than one. If you ask, is there a lie here? You will not buy the lie and you won't create a reaction based on lies. Instead, you will ask what is really desired or required here.
So, if I'm aware that there is a lie, could I be aware of a lie that is being projected at me? Or could I be aware of a lie in my own reality?
Yes, all of the above and more. Once you acknowledge that there is a lie, now you have choice. Go back to choice once you acknowledge a lie. If you do not acknowledge a lie, you cannot go back to choice.
Acknowledge this is a lie, then go back to the 4 questions.
Yes, ask, what is this? What do I do with it? Can I change it? If so, how do I change it?
I've had a lot of unexplained anger and destructive rage in my life, and I've been abusive with it. It has never made sense to me. I have recently discovered the high antenna I have whenever a lie is present. How much of my abusive anger with me is not being aware of what I was aware of?
The main thing you have to look at is how much of this abusive anger is my awareness of a lie. Ask that question, pock and pod everything you bought and made a distractor implant, because when you find a lie and don't acknowledge it, you tend to put it into the distractor implant universe.
Is that why I could be abusive with me even though I might have unacknowledge the power and potency?
Yes, you begin with awareness, then you go immediately into reaction because that is what everyone else does. You figure that in order to be like others, you have to do like others.
Yeah, and the anger and the rage that I would have was in my estimation so ugly and abusive that I would turn that into shame on myself, and there would be more anger than holy shit.
You are a great distractor implant looking for a place to happen. How about the rest of you? Have you been trying to personify yourself as a distractor implant like everyone else is being, doing, and generating? Isn't that nice? Everything that is times a godzillion will you all destroy and uncreate it all. Right, wrong, good, bad, pot, pock, online shots, boys, and beyonds. Just a second, guys. Just give me a moment. My battery is dying. Okay. What physical actualization of the unchangeable and unalterable disease of potency and power are you not acknowledging as a source for the creation of what is hidden beneath all distractor implants? Everything that is times a godzillion. Will you all destroy and uncreate it all, please? Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, online shots, boys and beyonds. Gary, hit them again, Dane, hit them again. What physical actualization of the unchangeable and unalterable disease of potency and power are you not acknowledging as a source for the creation of what is hidden beneath all distractor implants? Everything that is times a godzillion. Will you all destroy and uncreate it all, please? Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, online shots, boys and beyonds. What physical actualization of the unchangeable and unalterable disease of potency and power are you not acknowledging as a source for the creation of what is hidden beneath all distractor implants? Everything that is times a godzillion. Will you all destroy and uncreate it all, please? Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, online shots, boys and beyonds. Gary, this is getting heavier. You had better put this on a loop and listen to it nonstop. Because you know what? This is the only thing that will get you out from under the crap that you have decided is yours. What physical actualization of the unchangeable and unalterable disease of potency and power are you not acknowledging as a source for the creation of what is hidden beneath all distractor implants? Everything that is times a godzillion. Will you all destroy and uncreate it all, please? Right, wrong, good, bad, pot, pock, online shots, boys and beyonds.
Does running these loops naturally allow us to be the energy that we need to be when we are communicating to people? Because we need to deliver a certain level of potency with our interactions.
Yes, and the more you become aware of the distractor implants, the more you will realize that if you require this person to react in a certain way, all you need to do is push this button and you can push that button. Don't bother doing this with the people and access because you are not looking for reaction from them. You're looking for action. But with people who do normal jobs, for instance, when you go to the car rental place, there are people who can get to do blame, shame, regret, and guilt. And they will give you a better car for a lesser price. All you need to do is to have the awareness of how you create the energy of that distractor implant. And all of a sudden, they will be doing what you need them to be doing in the way you need them to be doing it. Now, that is not mean and nasty. It just is being in this reality and making other people function in a way that works for you. In truth, you won't do it with very many people. When you get to the point when you are not functioning from anger, rage, fury, and hate, because that is the primary distractor implant that runs your life right now. You have the space where you can manipulate and control others as needed to get a result as needed based on what's needed.
So the fact that other people are running my life Is that being unwilling to manipulate other people?
Yes, and it is also you being unwilling to be active. So instead, you are reactive. Dane, what most of us are handed is that our job is to be reactive. Supposedly, it's a lot easier to be reactive, and we are not responsible for the choices we make when we are reactive. So we can blame other people for what happens. That obviously doesn't work for you, because if it did, you wouldn't be on this call. And in truth, you wouldn't have been attracted to access consciousness, because access is about stepping in and being active in your life rather than being reactive to this reality and all of its insane whims. What physical actualization of the unchangeable and unalterable disease of potency and power are you not acknowledging as a source for the creation or what is hidden beneath all distractor implants? Everything that is times a godzillion. Will you all destroy and uncreate it all? Right, wrong, good, bad, pot, pock, online shots, boys and beyonds. What physical actualization of the unchangeable and unalterable disease of potency and power are you not acknowledging as a source for the creation of what is hidden beneath all distractions? Everything that is times a godzillion. Will you all destroy and uncreate it all, please?
Yes.
Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, online shots, boys and beyonds.
Will you please elaborate on using anger for you generatively to insert limitations instead of against you?
When you're not reactive based on anger and you are instead active in relationship to it, you can use anger in a generative way to get people to act rather than react and to do it quickly. It's like the time I saw a kid running out in the street in front of a car. I said, "Stop!" It was anger. It was also a direction. Suddenly the kid stopped. He didn't get hurt. He didn't get hit. That was generative anger. That's not because I knew that level of anger was what was needed, but because I had watched his parents use anger against him. I duplicated that anger to get the kid to have an instant reaction to whatever I said. So that is one way to use generative anger to get something to happen. When you use generative anger, it is really just a pretense of anger. It is not anger. So it has no adverse effect on your body.
So I have been using anger to insert my limitations by making demands like, this is fucking happening.
That's not anger. You don't have to use anger to get that. All you have to do is use the intensity. That is the real you.
When I get caught in a distractor implant of anger and I'm going to poison myself, is there a clearing I can use to help clear that out, please?
If you pot and pock all the distractor implants and destroy and uncreate all that is underneath them, that will change your physiology and the effects of anger in your life, because the effects in your life are based on that implant being in place. There are three things you want to look at in this anger, rage, fury, and hate area. Three things you want to do in the face of it, and they are: pock and pod all the distractor implants. If there's anything else there and you just had a conversation with someone or it's about some piece of information, ask, what's a lie here, spoken or unspoken? Once you get the lie, your attention will come off it. Who does this belong to? You ask that question because you could be perceiving the anger, rage, hate, fury that's out there in the world. Once you have run through the anger, rage, fury, and hate in your life, you should notice most of it has dissipated. Most of it should just be gone, including the adrenaline pump that's get created from it.
I have not been able to
Can I ask a
unhook
question?
myself today.
Oops,
Hi,
distraction.
Chandana. Sorry, Janki here.
Hi, Janvi. Hi, Janki.
I have a question. Can you talk more about when you have the lie or just that part about catching the lie? I don't get it.
Yeah. So when you, thank you for that question, honey. That's a really, really good question, because when you are aware of a lie, spoken or unspoken, it generally gets you to be angry. But what you'll end up doing is, with that anger, you go into reaction instead of asking, what is the lie spoken or unspoken here?
So a lot of times when there is a lie, sometimes people are gaslighting you,
Yes.
and is that when also sometimes, because I catch myself getting very angry at such times. So if
Yes.
I ask what is the lie here, then what will happen?
Then the distractor implant no longer controls you. Then you're not at the effect of the distractor implant. Now you can ask, what is this? What can I do with this? How can I change it? Can I change it? And how can I change it? Right?
Okay.
But to ask this question is very important. Yes, in the face of gaslighting, it's really big, Janki. In the face of love, it's really big, because so many people tell lies and then they think that, you should just receive that lie. And somewhere it's a lie. And that makes you angry because you don't know, and you don't know why you're angry. So you'll end up blaming yourself and judging yourself for it. So instead of
Right.
blaming yourself and judging yourself for it, what if you could actually ask? Just asking this question, what part of this is a lie? And asking, is this even a lie? Am I aware of something? Right?
Right.
Acknowledging what is very important for you to know, for you to be able to change it. Okay?
Okay. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, darling. So once you've run through the anger, rage, fury, and hate in your life, you should notice most of it has dissipated. Most of it should just be gone, including the adrenaline pump that gets created from it. Call participant. I haven't been able to unhook myself today. Gary, let me ask you a question. How much of what you are saying you can't get unhooked from is you buying something that isn't yours? A little, a lot, or megatons? Ritu, you are unmuted, honey. I mean, you're muted.
Megatons.
Everything you bought and sold yourself and made real for you that actually isn't. Will you destroy and uncreate all of that, please? Right, wrong, good, bad, pot, pock, all 9 shots, boys and beyonds. Everything that you bought and sold yourself and made real for you that actually isn't. Will you destroy and uncreate all of that, please? Yes. Right, wrong, good, bad, pot, pock, all 9 shots, boys and beyonds. That is blowing a whole lot, so you might actually get free of it. Please know that you all keep buying stuff. For example, when you have parents or siblings who are angry, you tend to try to see the rightness in their point of view. If they are doing anger, rage, fury, and hate, you try to see the rightness in it. You assume they wouldn't do it if they knew what they were doing. No, you've got to acknowledge that it's a distractor implant and they have no idea what they are doing. You have to get to that part, because the majority of the world functions from having no idea what the hell they're doing or why the hell they're doing it. But they keep doing it, thinking they're going to get a different result. Dane, they don't ever question it. They don't ever think about it. They don't ever think anything different. They just do it because that is what they do. And that's a part you need to get. 99% of the world isn't questioning anything. You've gotten a result with something, so they're sticking to it. They may have gotten a result with it once out of 1,000 times, but they still stick to it because they got a result with it once.
I recently moved into a new home, and on Friday, Bell Canada was supposed to come and set up my phone. I had to take a day off work and I waited all day for them, but they never came and I was raging lunatic. I asked myself, who and what are you being? Who are you mad at? What I got was I was in rage with myself. I was going to the wrongness of me and how unaware I am. Does that rage keep me in the wrongness of me? The energy of it is huge. Is it mine or someone else's? What would it take to not to go to the wrongness of me? Or what would it take to not to be raging lunatic?
If you start to go to rage, you are in distractor implants. So ask, everything I have done to create this, will I destroy and uncreate it all, please? Right and wrong,
Yes.
good and bad, pot and pock, all nine shots, boys and beyonds. Once you get to an awareness that what you are doing isn't necessary and you don't have to function from it, a whole new world can open up for you that wouldn't show up for anybody else. But you've got to be willing to ask a question. Getting angry at utility companies is about as fruitless as getting angry at the government.
What's the question I have to ask?
Will they actually deliver what they say they will? 99% of the time, the answer is no. When you have somebody who is scheduling you for something like that, ask, truth, when will this happen? When exactly will this happen? Can you give me the exact time? Tell them it's going to cost you $2,000 to do this because you are going to miss something very important. And you need to know more exactly when it's going to happen.
When a woman is pregnant and she gets a contraction, or when she gets a menstrual pain, it's normal, and you say, oh, that's contraction, or this is menstrual. Rage is like that for me. When it shows up, I know exactly what it is.
Puck and pod it. It's a distractor implant. And this is said with a lot of intensity by Dane. Don't make me go medieval on your ass. Puck and pod that shit. That's what the last hour and a half has been about. That's what you do. Did you get that energy? That's an example of intensity. That is possible when you function with no distractor implants as your reality. Now that you've experienced it, you won't forget it. And you might actually get over rage, but probably not because it is so much fun.
Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed this call, and I hope you allow yourself for the next few weeks to use those three things. Pock and pod the distractor implants. Ask, is there a lie spoken or unspoken? Ask, who does this belong to? And pock and pod everything that is not yours that holds it in place. If you do this, hopefully in the next couple of weeks, you will actually get free of these things. Gary, if we would like you to be free of them. We would like you to be the action you can be in the world instead of the reaction you have been trying to be.
We have a lot of these to do, and I don't have time to go through them during the day. So I have been sleeping with the process on a loop. Does it work if I have muted them on very low?
Totally and completely. Quite well, actually. But now Gary actually says to not really put it on mute. And that's what, you really want to know. That don't keep your clearings on mute, but keep them like on number 1 or number 2 volume. That's good. Quite well, actually. That is taking full advantage of all the hours in the day. Enjoying your day and taking the evening to pock and pod all these things. Dane, thank you, everyone. And bye for now.
Wow.
Thank you, Ritu. Thank you, Ritu, for being that beautiful class participant who read out
Thank
class
you.
participant section.
Blessed to hear all of this and go through it, I guess. It's so
Yes.
beautiful. Yeah.
And it is indeed a beautiful section. And our next call, I think, is on, I'm not sure. When is it? Rekha, do you have any clue?
9.
9th, right. So it's on the 9th. And for all of you who are joining us, please do Puck and Pod. All of this, the anger, rage, hate, fury, all of this, work on that for the next 3 days. So before we go on to blame, shame, regret, and guilt, which is the next chapter, we have covered this section of this solidity of anger, rage, fury, and hate distractor implant. Okay? And for those who are not joining us, please listen to this replay. And if you can get the book, read it on your own. It's fabulous. It's a beautiful book and can truly start to change a lot for all of you. Thank you for joining us once again. And I'll see you on the 9th. Bye, guys.
Thank you, Chandana. Thanks,
You're
Rekha.
welcome. Thank you,
Bye.
Ritu. Thank you, Rekha. Thank you, everybody who's on. Jivan, thank you.
Thank you.